welcome back to this channel MizReactions, where I'll bring you the best reactions from YouTube. For those new here, I'm Robert from the channel Mislead Loyalty, and I love sharing my honest opinions on the most viral and trending videos of the moment. You know how it is. I sit here, we watch the content together, and I give you my most authentic, unfiltered reaction. What you see is what you get, pure sincerity and good vibes. Today we have a video that is breaking the internet, and I couldn't help but share my reaction. But before we start, if you like the content, support it by liking, subscribing, and activating the bell so you don't miss any reactions. And if you'd like to see more content like this or have suggestions for reaction videos, leave them in the comments. Let's get started with today's video. Thanks for being here. See you in the next video.
Muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family this weekend. Well, everyone, I just wanted to come on here to thank and welcome those that haven't been with me for a while and do something different than when I started my other channel, which is properly introduce myself to everyone. Everyone from my other channel, well, more than what this YouTube stuff stands to be, right? Everyone knows me, and not on a personal tip behind the scenes. I'm real clear and open, and that's the way I want to do this channel. This channel, of course, is going to be a backup of my story from the other channel. And also, I want to do a reaction channel. You see, my life, well, to me, is normal, right? I've been told numerous of times that it just ain't normal, but I don't see it, right? But again, I ain't trying to minimize nothing, right? First and foremost, those that know me, I don't glorify on things. I don't really touch on things I done, at least to the extent that some people tend to pump themselves up to, right? Also, I'm on here for the message. What I mean for a message is, as I went through doing my time, there was a lot of situations, that at least for myself, you ain't aware of, right? Just to give you a little rundown, I'm from Santa Rosa, California. That's Northern California. I was the first generation of my neighborhood. We didn't have nobody to guide us, right? To tell us what was what. I got busted in 1996. And barely, when it came to the M and the Vatos, they were freshly coming to the scene right in town. And I was a wild one. I had a lot of hate for many, many years, right? And, God played a big part in my life. Of course, for my term, for many years, I never seen it. It was the contrary, right? I played that blame game. Nevertheless, again, I'm from Northern California. In 1996, I caught a double murder, 3 attempted murders, discharge of firearm in city limits, and gang attachment. You guys know how that goes, right? I went in San Quentin, being wild, YA baby, right? And my first cellie was a good man. He belonged to the MA, He was busted many, many years. He opened up Pelican Bay. He was paroling, though, to Salinas, so they shot him down to San Quentin to parole. And, it's kind of where everything flipped on me, right? I had no choice but to sit down and listen, analyze, and follow suit. Because that's all we do, we follow suit. Nevertheless, I did, when it came to the state, I did 23 years, 11 months straight. 14 of them were shoe living. And again, I had the opportunity to have a lot of responsibilities in prison, right? For many people to hold power. I loved, or love, however you want to say it, what we represent, right? Because I always been that loyal dummy to say, I get into something and it's because I'm going to see it through, right? When my case got overturned, as you guys would hear, and under technicality, I ended up going to the feds, and then from there, I ended up paroling from the feds to Arizona. But different world, different animal, and my family, from my grandpa, dad, whatever, they've been part of that wiggle in Mexico, right? So I was directed, because everybody knew as I was doing my time that one way or another I could tap into things, right? Well, not me, you know. But anyways, I was directed by an Emma member a lot of people might know, Sana Ojeda from Orange County, to come to the port of Mexico. You know, my family's from Culiacan, Mexico. And, I came down to open doors for us. I was never that brinca charcos, never jumped puddles. I was a part of something. Didn't matter if they were family, I still maintained to what we were, right? And of course, kept pushing for what I was supposed to do as a campolero or sureño, Southsider. Now I came down to Mexico, and as you guys would hear, did a lot of time in Mexico. I was part of that opening cancha, with torpedoes, just to win prizes and open them doors to get things across, right? But again, things ain't what people speak of, And again, that's what my channel's based on, right? Which is my message, which is my story, my walk. I don't speak about third things. Only the things I have personal knowledge of, one way or another. Either I was involved in it, had a celly that was directly involved, or I was directed in it, reading paperwork and everything that had to do with it, right? If not, I don't touch on it. I respect other races. I don't, I tend not to touch on it, because even if I was involved in something personally with them, I would never know the N-words. So I could be speaking about something and then, at the same time, sticking the foot up my mouth, right? Not knowing what I'm talking about. I don't know the in politics of brothers, whites, I will touch on it, but to the consequences, I just can't, It's just the way I am. But anyways, again, this is more a reaction channel, right? In a backup channel. You see, everybody been asking me to touch on the current situation that's happening in Culiacan. And, a lot of things have been happening that involves my family directly, right? I also want to excuse myself. I know my speech ain't the way it's supposed to be. I'm going through some personal things. Well, lymphoma came back and I've been going through some health things. I had some brain attacks and I'm semi-paralyzed from my left side, and that includes my speech, right? But I hope I'm able to speak clear enough for you guys to understand. This ain't about me. It ain't even about, again, glorifying or pumping myself up. I was never nobody. Never strive to be nobody but what I was. And at all times I will keep it respectful. I walk with God now. And I don't say that to say I tend to touch on a religious tip. I do understand everybody has their angles, their religion, their beliefs, and I respect everyone. Right? It is why I stand for speaking about it. But it is a little bit on why I'm doing this, right? Just for those that haven't been there, that have that one camarada or homie that gets out of jail and starts getting in their ear with lies. to catch something, to get them into something that they have no no mind to how really things are, you know. It happens daily, believe me. You know, usually those are the man that just trying to settle in and come up on people on the streets that don't know better, right? Again, I wish I would have had that, you know, because I don't think it would have changed anything because I had a lot of hate, like personal hate, for personal reasons, as you guys will know or hear eventually. But, you know, at least I'm not trying to be poison, if you guys get what I'm trying to say. You know, if you're there doing your thing, handle it. If you're still in your neighborhood, you're still in touch with your homies, that's beautiful. You know, value those that really deserve to be valued. In prison, it's a dog eat dog world, and if you can't bring to the table daily, you're gonna get used and abused. So, you know, it's good to do your thing for your neighborhood, but it's also good to smart up and eventually be like, you know, it's time to do things for family. Out of all the time I did, altogether, including Mexico time, it was a little bit over 27 years, but let's say 27 years, right? And the only ones that did the time with me, were family. You know, all the rest is a myth. So before I end this with this introduction, I hope I'm being clear enough. Um, Let me address the elephant in the room, right? Which is this mask. Do know I have a lot of breathing problems due to my health issues, right? And this mask is out of respect for my family here in Culiacan. It has nothing to do with what I speak on or touch on the States, right? That don't fade me at all, believe me. There's still made members that, you know, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I see them, you know, we see each other, I would just say that. And, but there's a lot of things that, you guys seen what Culiacan, Mexico looks like right now, right? Which is, I wanna react to things. You know, I'm not gonna react to channels. I don't play that. I'm not into that. They could have that, whoever's doing it, you know. I want to react to the video. If I have personal knowledge of, for example, there's a lot of certain things that are happening in Culiacan. I would love to put it somewhere and be in the back and talk to you guys personally on, you know, for example, avenues, ranches, the avenues to the ranches, what's happening, you know, on a personal tip. I know people, news, they're BS, right? So there, of course, there's certain videos too from a lot of YouTube stuff, right? That people just talk to talk, you know. But again, my respects, you know. Everybody's entitled to do what they want. They're entitled to put the message they want to put out, the route they want to take, even if it's a funny way, right? But I ain't nobody. Just like, well, we'll just leave it at that, right? But again, the mask is for a request here. So, before everybody says, you know, that I'm hiding, I'll introduce myself properly. Again, I didn't do it on another channel. I'm Robert Perez. For those sticklers in prison stuff, my CC number was K36147. For those that want to do their homework, right? Again, I don't come on here to lie. There's no reason for it, right? Those that know me know I don't, money don't faze me, right? If that was the case, believe me, I would be in a whole different angle right now. But again, I'm on here just for Clecha, school, right? For those that, so that when something pops up, they're already aware of it. And it's not something new that hits them upside the head because of people lying. But anyways, I rammed off enough, right? Out of Mexico again, I was a pointer for here in the state of Sinaloa. You could say for my family, but an overall, right? Here in Sinaloa for the families. Many things that one as a prisoner first and foremost, and a convicted murderer in California, I never thought I would see, right? That I will gladly share with you guys. Of course, I like to be clear, so I will try to present, the proper angle to show you guys what I'm speaking on. I don't like to speak out my butt, There's a lot of he says, she says stuff here on YouTube, and again, my respects to it. More power to them, right? But anyways, this was just a quick introduction. I hope I didn't bore you guys. Please go, if you're not, subscribe to the other channel. It's Misled Loyalties Rob. There I've been on there for I don't know how long, maybe a year already. But it ain't that big, cause again I don't do drama. I see many stories that I could literally, I was sitting there when it was happening, but I prefer just to let them have it, than to poke holes in it. And I ain't nobody, never been nobody. I'm just the one that, in hopes I can make sense with things to you guys, and get something interesting out to you guys, to the point where I could leave a positive message too, right? Again, it ain't coming from a fish. That's why I'm being clear with everybody on, if I speak about something, it's because I'm not going to say I'm entitled to speak on it, because nobody's entitled to speak on nothing, right? But I have inside knowledge, right? We'll just leave it at that I could touch on a positive side. I ain't la Santa Teresa de Calcuta, this innocent guy either, so don't take that from this. I just want to try, Again, the other channel's been getting a lot of hate. People been, if they shut it down, I want to be able to leave my story, so we'll try like this, With this said, I hope everybody continues to have a great Saturday. I send my love in full. Tomorrow morning, I know everybody's doing their family things, but I will put my first reaction, new reaction that you will not see on the other channel, on here, on this channel. And I will be putting out my story too as we go along, right? But do stop in the other channel. For those who have been with me since day one, you know who you are. You guys know I don't speak out my neck when I say my full love to everyone, my respect, and thank you for your prayers. God's great. Today's a good breathing day, so let's boogie. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Thank you. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. Buenas noches.
See you in the next video. Thank you for your time and for being part of this wonderful YouTube family. See you next time.